So, first of all, thank you if you watched my video yesterday. I'm blown away by it because over 1,000 people have now viewed it, and I've had some really good feedback on it. And I thought I would continue today a little bit more. So, I just had earlier on a call with Ian Evans, who's the chief exec of the RPRA. And it was a really good call, about 50 minutes actually. And he suggested a couple of days ago that we meet and that we speak. And I've just done that today. So my thoughts moving forward from yesterday, which I talked about, you know, big money birds are good for the sport and a bunch of other things, is that after speaking to Ian, it's clear that good things are moving forward. Some things are moving in the right direction. One of them is that there is going to be a centralised database released in the next few weeks for all race results in the UK and Ireland, which is a really good thing. And that the schools project for getting lofts into schools is seemingly a success, and I think that needs to be expanded upon more. But there also came some other things that are perhaps not as good. And one of the things that came up is ultimately the governance here in the UK of the sport. And fundamentally, the governance is screwed up. It's unworkable practically long term as it is at the moment. Mainly because the areas, the regions in the UK, 13 of which are not actually represented very well, and clubs that are supposed to send a representative to the region meetings don't actually send that many people. There's not actually that many people that turn up, and then the regions and the votes go to the board, of which there's 22 people. So fundamentally, there are a few problems here. One is clubs are not sending people to the region meetings. Two, then it goes to 22 people, and that's a lot of people, and those people only meet twice a year. And then something has to get voted on or passed or rejected. So ultimately, that system doesn't lend itself to being a very proactive organizational structure. And I think that out of everything that we spoke about, the governance in the UK of the organizational structure is wrong and needs to be changed. But the problem is, from what I can see, is don't actually think it's going to change anytime soon. And there's probably reasons for that, in that by definition of changing the structure, actually it's people that are going to vote and people that are in charge of going in and representing clubs and regions may actually be doing themselves out of a position. But that's some short-term thinking for what something radically needs to change. 22 people at the top of a committee, I think, is too many. I think it should be down to half a dozen people, and those people are voted in every 3 years. So there's some fundamental problems with the governments here in the UK. It's not being run in an effective way, and ultimately it means that the average member isn't actually getting their views heard or across. So there's a problem. Like I've said in this video description, there's a few other problems. The first one is, what's actually wrong with money? We all need it to live and survive, but there seems to be a certain element of people that don't like money in the sport and don't like the idea of business being in the sport. And if you actually sit back and think about it, why is that the case? What is actually wrong with money? What is wrong with the fact that last week a pigeon was sold for £1 million? What's wrong about that? And I think here in the UK specifically, we have a pretty warped view about money. Ian was telling me that it was a complete nightmare to get this new database system passed because somebody had actually took the time to write it and wanted a nominal amount of money to do it. And people objected to the fact this person was making money out of writing this system. What is wrong with that? I don't get it. It's what's wrong with a pigeon selling for £1 million? It doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to go. You can still go and buy your youngsters at £20, £25 each and race and compete. And the idea that money means it makes it unfair for people to be able to compete, I think is a lot of BS, if I'm honest, because like I said yesterday, you can get racehorses that cost next to nothing compete against £1 million plus horses, and you'll still get those horses that cost next to nothing competing and sometimes beating the expensive horses or the more expensive horses. It's the same. And like I said also yesterday, one-off races level the playing field. You've not got any of the variables with multiple loft locations, and if you bring it down to one-off race situations, the playing field's leveled. And I would like to think entering a £50 bird in a one-off race has got much chance in that one-off race as a bird that maybe cost hundreds or if not thousands. The playing field's leveled with this one-off race game. So I think there needs to be a shift, and people need to be they need to change their opinion about money. Like I said yesterday, money coming into this sport is a great thing, and it's the only way it's going to survive and continue to thrive. And here in the UK, we've got a mentality of not wanting people to succeed. It's very different to it's very different to perhaps the American mentality, where if the American public sees somebody succeed in something, they're congratulated for succeeding. But in the UK, if people are seen to succeed, they're showing off, and it's a whole jealousy thing. Not for everybody. I'm not one of them people. If I see somebody kicking my ass in something, whether it be business or in one-off races, I'm just going to want to up my game to be able to get as good as they're doing. It's as simple as that. And I think the mentality within the pigeon fraternity in the UK, again, not everybody, but a lot of people don't like the idea of big money coming into it. And I think that's the wrong attitude. Money brings publicity. This week alone, Ian Evans has been running all around the country because a pigeon sold for £1 million. The publicity and the mainstream publicity that the sport is getting because of that sale, it's invaluable. It's invaluable. It cannot be bought. It cannot be bought. That £1 million sale will do more short term for the publicity of this sport and how great it is than any paid advertising you can ever imagine. So the Chinese person that bought that bird for over £1 million, thank you very much. You bought a great deal of exposure to the sport, into a mainstream. That's the key. It's forget the existing pigeon press. For this to survive and thrive, we need to go mainstream. It needs to go mainstream. Before I continue, let me just check out some of the comments. Gabrielle, I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm glad you agree. Let's see what Derek's got to say. Maybe the reasons people don't send representatives to meetings is the same reason in Ireland. Geographically may not be suitable to attend on a constant basis. We have same issues here in Ireland. All meetings held in Dublin, regardless of the amount of fanciers in the capital, I suppose. So organisers should take into consideration venues to accommodate to fair fall. Right, that's a very good point, Derek. And I have one solution right now that will deal with all of that. Guess what? The world lives online. So all of them meetings become online meetings. That's it. They become what called webinars, online seminars, online meetings. If the technology's there, a lot of it's free, it can be done in a heartbeat. So actually meetings become virtual. Nobody needs to travel outside of their front room. as long as they've got a computer. There's a solution to that. Done. All meetings should be online. And if they still want to be physical, people have the ability to be able to virtually attend the meeting. That's what should happen right there. But it's a good point, Derek. Thank you for saying that. Good sportsmanship, Gabriel. Again, there ain't a lot of that around in certain circles. And like I said, I've been off and on involved in this since I was the age of 12. Not a lot's changed when it comes to that stuff. Afternoon, Jonathan. Nice to see you come in and watch. So, like I said, I've been blown away by the video yesterday. Over 1,000 views now and a lot of shares. Thank you for doing that. And yes, I come from, I'm an entrepreneur. I've done very many businesses in my time, mainly online. And outside looking in, there's so much that can be done. One of the things that needs to be done is we need to stop calling ourselves fanciers. This is something I spoke to Ian about. The connotations, even for my age group, and certainly younger, the word fancier is no longer something that should be used moving forward. My 15-year-old son is heavily interested in pigeons. He bought his first pigeons when he was in Blackpool 3-4 years ago. There is absolutely no way my son would ever say, I'm a pigeon fancier. The connotations of the word fancy show that you have a physical attraction to a human being. And it needs to change. We need to be called pigeon flyers or keepers or something, anything other than the word fancier. Not going to attract new people in. As simple as that. Needs to be changed. Has to be changed. Trainer, exactly, Jonathan. Like, in horse racing, you've got the trainers, you've got the owners. Well, we adopt exactly what horse racing does. So we become pigeon trainers, pigeon owners, whatever it may be. And that's what needs to change. So we got to change that. Because all in the press this week, we've had pigeon fanciers do this, pigeon fanciers say that. Needs to go. Needs to be out. Just coming back to the point that that Derek Walsh said about the locality issues. So much can be done online now. All members, assuming they have a computer or even a phone, can conduct meetings online. I don't see why that wouldn't be done. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with money coming in. I think people need to change their opinions about it. I think we need to stop using the word fancier. And I think we need a serious look. I don't know how it's going to happen about how the association within the UK and the committee and the governance changes, because it's like any big organisation, whether it be commercial or a non-profit. If there's too many people in it and it takes too long to get things done, you are way behind and you can't be productive, you become reactive. And at the moment, for anything to get past that Ian tries to get done, or other people that are trying to move this thing forward, it's got to go to the region, and then it's got to go to the committee, and they only meet twice a year. What's that all about? What is that? I mean, how can anything, like now, Armando got sold at the weekend. They need to be coming up with other things that can continue to perpetuate the momentum of the sale of that pigeon for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Not have to wait till October to do it, because by then you've missed the opportunity. It's got to change. And there's a lot more that can change as well. Some of the stuff probably cannot. Like I said yesterday, I love the British Homing World. I love getting it every week. I download it, but it needs updating. It needs updating. Nobody's gonna pick that up off a shelf and read it if they're a non-pigeon person. And even if you're a pigeon person, some of it gets boring. Why do I do it? I buy it to see what trends are going on, what people are selling, and what the one-off races are doing. But it needs updating. But I don't think it's going to happen, and that's fine. You know, it shouldn't be fine, but I think we've got to accept that it isn't. And what I've got in my mind is I want to create an entirely global translated into major languages, free publication. Not just for people that are keeping pigeons and training pigeons, but for that we can get the mainstream into, as a gateway to be able to get mainstream people into. That's something I'm going to look at doing. And like I also said yesterday as well, we have a big gap. There's a lot of good pigeons going to China at the moment. All the best pigeons are going to China. And there's a increasing community of people racing pigeons around the world on Facebook. But we have an issue with that, in that Facebook is banned in China. You can't normally, I mean there are ways to do it, but you can't actually log into Facebook if you're in China. And that's a major issue. And I'm asking myself, and I'm actually already looking into it, why does pigeon racing not have a global, I'm talking the Facebook of pigeon racing, why does it not have its own social network that Chinese people could access? I think that's something that needs to be done. It's something I'm looking into doing now. I think we need a global magazine that represents everybody from every region and every language, the main language that's out there. I think we need to seriously look at ourselves. We need to adopt technology. Technology is there to be had, to be used, and we can use it to not just continue, but to grow this sport. And like I said, I think one-off races are a big entry point into mainstream adoption. If set up right, people can compete in one-off races, but not have to actually keep pigeons. So, there's some more thoughts. I am very keen to look at what I can do to help. My background's technology, marketing, anything online. I also spoke to Ian about blockchain. For those of you who don't know what blockchain is, it's the thing that runs Bitcoin. It is a big ledger, essentially. It's a big database, for want of a simplistic term. And I said, why can we not have every single pigeon on the blockchain? We can tell who owns it, what races it's made, what positions it's come, what its DNA is, and everybody publicly, because it's the type of thing that it is, it's a public thing that anybody can look at, can then see. A centralized database that can be done for transfers. There's all kinds of stuff that can be done. I didn't discuss this with Ian, but like, why can't we get betting going? Legitimate, proper betting, where people can bet on specifically one-off races. Why can't we get that happening? Technically we can get it done. Why is it not happening? It needs to. Or does it? Because again, I think people are anti-money, or some people are anti-money, but trust me, money coming into this will grow this and the interest in this for years and years to come. Anyway, I've jabbled on and off. Thank you for watching. I'd appreciate all of your feedback on this, good and bad. I'm open to criticism. Mainly yesterday it was good, but again I'm realised that maybe people are not going to tell you if they think you're talking rubbish too much. Not as many people as will tell you if you think you're giving some good points, but I'm open to all feedback on this stuff. Like I say, I'm just a guy that's been interested in pigeons since I was the age of 12, and I'm now unfortunately 44, and I'm looking at it from a few different angles, and I'm coming at it from an outside in as an entrepreneur and a business person that's been around the block a few times, and can see that there's so much more that can be doing, but there's some fundamentals that have got to change, and we've got to really look how we can quickly advance this stuff. Waiting for 2 meetings every year to implement stuff and then having to go through 22 people and a whole procedure is not the way this stuff should be happening. And that's where people like you watching this can help. One, you can get involved in the voting. Two, you can actually start doing your own things to help. You can get involved with other things that don't need that process. Like I say, there's a place for the RPRA, but here's a fact to leave it on. Ian was telling me that the membership in 1989 of the RPRA was 60-something thousand. It's now 21,000. In 30 years, it's declined by 2/3. Where's it going to be at in 10 and 20 years? It needs changing. And globalizing what we do can help that. The one-off races that happen all around the world now bring people together. We need to create a global movement, not just be localized to our local area, our club, our region, our federation, our country even. We need to expand it, and we need to become a global sport, a truly global sport, and not fragmented like we are at the moment. Thank you for watching. I will be back on soon. I would appreciate any feedback you've got, and I will catch you soon. Thanks.